Hi, everyone. It's Derby Day here in the state of Florida. Tampa Bay Rowdies and Miami FC. Obviously, we had a derby on the women's side a few weeks ago. Tampa Bay Sun and Fort Lauderdale United. Unbelievably chippy affair that was. This rivalry maybe not quite as advanced, even though it's been played much longer. The clubs first met in 2016, had an Open Cup match in 2017 at Al Lang. Tampa Bay has had the better of the series the last few years. I think now have won 5 or 6 in a row in the series, 5 in a row, I believe. Both teams come in without a win in USL Championship play, although, as I've talked about pretty regularly on the Florida Soccer Report, and James Knowles and I have talked about on our podcast, I feel like Tampa Bay, particularly their central midfield, Cammy McPherson, Chris Asomo, have been very good in both matches that they've lost. And in the game against Las Vegas, it was just a freak error that led to that loss. That match, Ali Bassett, the new signing from the Canadian Premier League, played very well. Felt like Blake Bodley, who I love as a player, but sometimes has off days, as he did last week in Tulsa, has played very well in that match. Lawrence Wyke, in his return to the Rowdies, played well, other than being a little fired up, a little too fired up in the first half. Was very fortunate not to be booked for dissent on several different occasions, but he had a very good game. And so Tampa Bay played well in that match against Las Vegas, lost on a fluke, just a fluke error. Last week against Tulsa, not quite as good. They'll be without Nyanga Biri tonight. Pacific Nyanga Biri has been called into the Burundi national team, so I assume we'll see Nick Moon start on the left side in that left wing back position. For Miami FC, 4-1 win in the Open Cup against Naples United FC, so that's a positive. But in the first 2 USL Championship matches, I have seen virtually nothing, and I mean nothing, to compliment. Outside of, I think, in the first match, Bolu, who's returned to Miami FC after being away in El Paso for a year, Dalton Knutson and Mitrano, 2 returning players from last season. I think those 3 guys played pretty well on the back line, but the midfield was awful. Nothing from the attack. Last week against Indy, I think the whole team played poorly. I can't single out a performance for being positive. Maybe Bolu again was the most positive performer. Obviously, Kevin Oyo got the goal late on, so maybe give him some compliments. Was able to claw one back in a 3-1 loss. But both matches, the Miami FC losses to Detroit FC, Detroit City FC, and to Indy 11, have followed a similar pattern where the match has basically been over within 20 minutes, which is not like what happened last season with Miami FC. In spite of being the worst team in the last 10 years in the USL Championship, in terms of points, in terms of record and results, Miami FC generally was competitive in matches for 35, 40, 45 minutes, some cases even for 70 or 75 minutes, before lack of fitness, lack of mental fatigue, those sorts of things caught up with them because they had a less talented squad. This season, we've seen no ability to compete in the USL Championship, even for 20-minute spurts, quite honestly. Now, it's only 2 matches, but haven't liked anything I've seen. Now, when we talk about Tampa Bay, I think it's important to get something from this match. 3 points would be nice. Obviously, 3 points would be critical for Miami if they could get it. I tend to think that the Rowdies, in spite of not having Nyanga Biri, Moon will slot in well there, should play better than they have the last few weeks. Rubens Pasillas has been a huge miss the first 2 weeks. New player signed also from the Canadian Premier League. And he's taking really kind of the position of Cal Jennings on the right side of the attack. We've already seen Jennings move centrally for Charleston and score 2 goals in the early stage of this USL Championship season. Obviously, there's no need to move a player centrally on the front line for Tampa Bay because they have Manuel Arteaga. So I think Tampa Bay is the favorite tonight. I do think last week's match against Tulsa was very concerning. But Tulsa is an underrated team, and Tulsa is a team that I think that might end up proving to be very, very good this season in the USL Championship. So we'll be out at Pitbull Stadium, 7 p.m., with the Kingfisher and the Florida Soccer Report, and obviously we'll have our Florida Soccer Report podcast during the week, James Knowles and myself. in addition to everything else going on in the USL Championship, USL League One, USL Division One. Lots more coverage coming this week. This is kind of the apex of our existence at Beyond the 90 has been this week, with US Open Cup going on, the USL promotion and relegation announcement, USL D1, USL seasons in high gear, Super League going on, and we've got the summer leagues coming up, USL League 2 and PSL League for Clubs. To the extent we cover UPSL, we really don't. But those other three leagues we cover. Those are coming. And the USLW League, of course, we cover. So wherever you are, enjoy your football tonight. Full slate of USL Championship action. And we'll be back with you on the other side, recapping this match for both the Kingfisher and the Florida Soccer Report.